Happy day everybody, my name is Jeremy and this is Barbecue Elementary. And today I'll be whipping up something I've seen on a menu a million times but have never tried myself. Peanut butter and jelly wings. And I'll be pairing it with something I've never seen on a menu, a gin, basil, and jelly cocktail. Let's go. To start off, you'll need about a pound or two of chicken wings. I'm using pre-sectioned party wings for this because I'm lazy and it was a Tuesday afternoon. And I don't like doing extra work on Tuesday afternoons. Once I removed them from the packaging, I did what I always do and gave them a nice little pat to dry out the surface. I would also like to mention yet again that you should do your darndest to use a chicken rack when smoking anything that's cooked laid out in pieces like this. It makes life so easy, you can carry your wings to and from the grill all together instead of one by one, which is super nice. With these wings, I kept it very simple like I often do and seasoned them with only salt and pepper. Next time I may get a little more intense with the dry rub portion, but I wanted the peanut butter and jelly to be the stars for this cook. Once the Traeger came up to 275 degrees, it was time to get the wings on the smoker. I'll be honest, I was in a bit of a hurry, so I didn't let these wings dry out for very long. That's going to cost me some crispiness in the end, but if you've got the time, season your wings and let them sit uncovered in the fridge for a few hours, even overnight. That little step will help the skin dry out and give you a much crispier final product. About halfway through the cook, the wings were starting to look pretty good and it was time to make myself a little cocktail to pair with the wings. I started off by making some freshly squeezed lemon juice. As always, get bent if you use the pre-juice stuff. Then I grabbed myself a little shaker tin and added 3/4 of an ounce of that freshly squeezed lemon juice along with a 1/2 ounce of strawberry jelly. This is the best strawberry jelly, by the way, as well as about 7 basil leaves and stems, and gave them a good firm but not too firm muddle. Then I added 2 ounces of the gin that I had laying around. You can pretty much use whatever you want, but I usually like super botanical gins for stuff like this. Then I threw a couple of large ice cubes into the shaker tin as well as 2 medium ice cubes into my rocks glass. After about 20 seconds or so of vigorous shaking and a couple firm slaps to break the seal, I double strained the cocktail over ice and garnished with a basil leaf. You'll notice the cocktail that I made later on for the thumbnail was much more red. That's because I added a bit more jelly, which ended up being a much better idea. So if you make this cocktail, put more like 3/4 of an ounce of jelly instead of only half. When there was about 15 minutes left on the cook, I needed to warm up the jelly. This step will make sure that the jelly has a nice drizzleable viscosity, and I decided to put it in the smoker because I figured that would be more fun. With the time remaining, I also needed to prep the peanut butter. All I did was grab 1/3 cup of peanut butter and added a tablespoon of soy sauce and about 1/4 cup of water, then mixed. I did add the water about a tablespoon at a time to make sure it didn't get too runny, and you may need to use more depending on the butter you use. But you'll want the peanut butter sauce to stick, so just make sure it doesn't get too wet. Once the wings had crossed the 165-degree threshold, it was time to pull them off. For the last step, I simply tossed the wings into the peanut butter sauce and it was time to plate them up and give them a grade. The cook and sauce prep was so easy and it all went very smoothly, so I will give myself a B- for the cook, only penalizing myself for the things I could have done to make them crispier. For looks, I will give them a B- as well. I don't really know what I was expecting, but I kind of did expect more of a contrast off the cutting board. But once they were drizzled with the jelly, it was time to do more than just look at them. It was time to see how they taste. But before we keep going, you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed I've got some new merch. This is the first Barbecue Elementary t-shirt. If you're looking to treat yourself or grab something for a friend who loves barbecue, why not pick up something of mine? Just follow the link below. Your support means the world, and every dollar just goes right back into growing this channel. So thank you in advance for checking it out. As for the wings, they had a really good flavor. Tons of sweet from the jelly, of course, but it was curbed perfectly by the semi-savory peanut butter and the salty chicken. For the wings, I'll give them a B-, and for the cocktail, which was bright, sweet, and barely tart, I'll give it an A, which brings the overall grade to B for this cook, and something I recommend you try out for yourself. And as always, thanks a million for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't to follow me along on my adventures through Barbecue Elementary.